Abuja, on May 22nd, 1946, an Irish professional footballer, George Best, was born, and at the age of 15, he was discovered by Manchester United scout Bob Bishop. At that time, he was rejected by a local club for being too small and too light. But then Manchester United, Emma Nakwenya, he was given a trial and was signed by the chief scout of Manchester United, Joe Armstrong. Now, the skill set of George Best was beyond human comprehension. At age 19, he was considered as the most talented player and the star of English football. At age 22, George Best had already won the Ballon d'Or, the then European Footballer of the Year. He came fifth in the FIFA Player of the Century vote and then was part of the 6-man shortlist for the BBC Sport Personality of the Century. George Best was indeed a good player. Now, after helping Manchester United to become the first ever English club team to win the European Cup in 1968, a statue named as the Unity Trinity or the Holy Trinity was mounted in honor of George Best, Dennis Law, and Sir Bobby Charlton. Now, with his good looks and the playboy lifestyle, George Best became one of the first media celebrity footballers, earning the nickname O Quinto Beatle. Fast forward, at age 28, George Best had already scored 181 goals for Manchester United and won 6 titles, including the European Cup. But his extravagant lifestyle led to various personal problems, notably womanizing and alcoholism. It affected him off and on the pitch. Now, excessive drinking destroyed most of his adult life. In 1981, the then footballer Wajidin, George Best, robbed a woman by taking money from her handbag. Said Now, in 1984, he was given a 3-month sentence for drunk driving, and the list goes on and on. George Best was not ready to leave the alcohol behind. In 2002, George Best, according to report, granted an interview with the Guardian newspaper and said this, and I quote, "I spent a lot of my money on booze, beds, and fast cars. The rest I just squandered." And he also admitted that he was ill and everyone could see it but him. Due to how George Best, his liver got affected, and in March 2000, he was diagnosed with a severe liver damage. And according to reports, it was said his liver was only functioning at 20%. He was admitted, and in August 2002, he had a successful liver transplant at the Cromwell Hospital in London. But surprisingly, after the liver transplant, a lot of people thought that George Best would have stayed away from alcoholism. But in 2003, surprisingly, George Best was openly seen doing what he does best aside football. Guess what? He was drinking alcohol. The alcoholism continued, and on 2nd February 2004, George Best was convicted for drink driving and was banned from driving for 1 year, 8 months. But that didn't stop him from drinking. He continued with alcoholism until he was admitted in 2005 at the private Cromwell Hospital again. This time round, the kidney of George Best was damaged. Now, here is the kicker of the story. George Best, on a sick bed at the Cromwell Hospital, something strange happened. George Best, according to reports, asked his daughter to buy a newspaper ad and publish a photo of his condition with the caption, "Don't die like me." A daughter, trying to fulfill the dying wishes of his father, did same. And on November 20th, 2005, the picture of George Best with the caption, "Don't die like me," was published in the News of the World. Now, after that publication, George Best was asked that what was his motive for publishing that image of himself on his sickbed, and George Best told them that he only wanted to send a caution and a warning to people about the dangers of alcohol. 5 days later, after that publication, on November 25th, George Best passed, and that last photo and the caption of George Best has since been a reference point whenever the story of George Best is being discussed. Now hear me, almost all of us are somehow sick, and strangely, the people that are closer to us who see that illness, except Yeni Ankasa. I know there are a lot of people like me who have never smoked or even tasted alcohol before, but you see, that does not make us superhuman beings, because some of us are suffering from womanizing, masturbation, stealing, jealousy, gossiping, fraud, prostitution, and the list goes on and on. And that is our sickness. My sickness might not necessarily be alcohol, or might not necessarily be smoking or womanizing, but my sickness, ebetumi prostitution, ebetumi fraud, ebetumi gossiping, jealousy, envy, ebetumi stealing. But one thing is key. Listen, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to realize that you are sick and identify the kind of sickness that you're suffering from and seek help or find antidote to that sickness. Don't wait till it get worse and end up like George Best. No matter how severe or how bad or how deep your addiction and your illness is, let today be a turning point. Pause, take a deep breath, and repeat the words of George Best. Don't die like me. Make that decision today, and your future self will be proud of you. Share your thoughts with me in the comment section and follow the page for more Mediani Citizen. God bless you.